teacher here at Stewards Academy. March the 20th, you're probably going to have to close the school. Can you take us back and say, how was that? What type of experience was that for you?
Well, the week leading up to that, obviously we had some indication that that was going to happen. So there were challenges in that week as well, in terms of staff self-isolating, all of those other things. So it became apparent as we got towards the end of the week that we were looking at closure, and we had to take stock of all of the information that we had from the DFE, from the local authority, and decide what the way forward might look like. So the starting point, of course, was our key workers and vulnerable children, so ascertaining who they were, how we would provide something for them that was safe and also engaging. So that was a job of work to decide how that was going to look, how we would manage the staffing, and all to put all those things in place. So that was the first job to be done. But then, of course, the home learning too, so thinking about the children that were still at home. So we started off by uploading individual lessons to our platform class charts. But it seemed over time, as the weeks were getting towards being months, that we ought to put something more substantial in place. So the staff wrote home learning booklets, so we could get the right balance between online time and actually having something concrete to do at home. Some of our families, most of them have internet, but actually the quality of the devices they have meant that many hours on a device at home wasn't the way forward for our families. So hopefully we've got the blended learning approach, which is hopefully it puts us in a good position moving forward.
What does a blended learning approach mean? I
suppose it means having contact with the teaching staff, but also using online videos and other materials, and also having paper-based materials at home as well. So using all of the above, hopefully, to keep children in touch with the curriculum and make sure they make progress. So that will be also something we'll have to be looking at, and all head teachers will have to look at for the autumn term.
And were there certain years, I know all years are important, but some years are more important than others. So things, for example, year 11, what was a different, with exams, etc., what were the challenges there?
Obviously year 11, and having a son in year 11, it was a challenging time. So all of those usual things that we would have done, celebrating, having the opportunity to really prove yourself after many months of learning was kind of stripped away from them, and that was tough. And of course the celebration of prom and leavers assembly and all of those things that we couldn't do, that was tough for them. So communication was really important at the beginning, so touching base with them. Particularly important was making sure they were ready for the next stage in terms of FE. So they had futures meetings via phone with our careers team, sometimes one call to make sure they were happy, sometimes 2 or 3, to make sure that everyone has somewhere set up and had all those applications in place. We did send some newsletters home to them. We've put together, I'm not sure if they've quite got those yet, but there's a tutor letter for each individual, a little reflection on their time together that's going home. We've just been in communication with them regularly to keep them in touch. One of our assistant head teachers provided like a mini curriculum for A-levels, and he uploaded that to the website just so they had something purposeful to get on with, because it really was, they were going from 100% to 0, and just keeping some momentum going and being ready for September. We also made sure that we contacted all of our FE providers, so we understood how that transition would work and how they would do, be recruiting, and also making sure the children had places. So that was important to us, and our year 11s have really appreciated that support.
Because I asked a stupid question there, because it's not a matter of year 11s, there's no sixth form here. Yeah. So it wasn't a matter of saying, bye, you're on your own now, wherever you're going, year 12, 13. No, absolutely You've been part of the transition process.
Yeah, and that was really important to us, particularly, with the experience that they've had. And obviously, preparing for results day, we've had our centre assess grades. So a big job of moderating those and making sure that they were accurate and correct, and a good reflection of the work that they put in. That was important. So we've done all of that work, of course. And then in results day, we'll be bringing them in pods, the new word pod, in small groups to collect their results. They will have an opportunity to see their tutors as well, as some kind of rounding off process and final goodbyes. So all of that is in place, and they'll be receiving a letter, I think, this week with all of the information that they need for results.
So here we are in the middle of July. You've got a very busy car park. So things are still pretty busy here.
Oh, they are. So lots of other things apart from those that I started with, the key worker pods, obviously. We've also got the year 10s in, so that was from the 15th of June. So we had that information about how we would bring them back into school. So we have 4 pods every day, so they come in for one session a week. for 3 hours, and over the fortnight they'll see all of their teachers to have sort of a workshop. So we keep it in line with the home learning booklets, so those that are at home are having a similar experience, and so they'll get those workshops just to promote over the last few weeks for them to continue with their studies. So the Year 10 the Year 10 pods have been going well. We've also had Year 7, 8 and 9, right towards the end. We've provided 2 meetings with their tutors, so they've come in, so it's staggered throughout the day, so we've got 1 or 2 children lining up ready to see their tutors, and they've had an opportunity to talk about the home learning booklets, but it hasn't been about looking at the academic, it's been about touching base, how things going, and keeping that connection with the school. So I know the tutors have really liked that opportunity to sit down and have a meeting with each of their tutees individually. They've actually requested that we find more opportunities, although it does take sort of 3 days to see all of your tutees. That's a problem, and do it well. But I think that building of relationships has been really important, and they found it very helpful. So hopefully everybody has had a flavour of connection across each of the year groups. And not to forget our new cohort, of course. So Year 6 into 7, another challenge. Of course, we loved having our taster days and our parent meetings and our new parents evenings, but all of that wasn't possible. So we've had to reinvent the wheel there. So we had a lovely assembly type PowerPoint video, which was a tour of the school that was produced by our assistant head teachers, and that was sent to all of our feeder primaries. We've had meetings with the Year 6 teachers to prepare, so lots of information gathering. And then the Year 7 tutors have had virtual meetings with each of the new parents and sent lots of information home. So we know that's not really going to bridge the gap entirely, it's not what we would have wanted, but we are confident that we've done everything we can to prepare for September. And of course the usual really strong transition process at Stewards of time with tutors and lots of information sharing and lots of supporting will go on in September.
You mentioned the word September, bring us to September. It'll be back to normal then, I believe.
Well, not quite. So we have a rather large document from the DFE setting out suggestions of what we might do where possible. So what we're asked to do is to balance the need for a full, broad and balanced curriculum. So we're asked to provide a full-time education across all of the subjects and also to sort of minimise the risk of transmission of COVID. So that isn't an easy task for head teachers because every site is slightly different and there's lots of things to consider. But we've had quite a lot of children in the school, as you can see by our full car park. And so we've built up some of our systems and procedures over time, which is quite, so we've got our one-way systems, we've got dots on the floor, we've got sanitising around school. So we're still in the process now. Just before you came this morning, I was working on the risk assessment that will be shared with governors this evening. And they will finally agree the model for September. But we're looking at doing staggered starts to the day, so different year groups arriving at different times. The day itself will be staggered with lunches and breaks, and essentially having, the word is bubbles rather than pods, we seem to have moved from pods to bubbles now, will be year group bubbles, which is really all that is practically possible at secondary school. There's still some challenges there, and it won't be perfect, and it sets that out in the government document. It says that even if we can put 60% of what we put in place is effective, then obviously each time we're minimising the risks of transmission, and that's really important.
Are you pleased with how you've coped with this, as an individual, as a head, but also the way all your staff and parents and pupils and governors have all coped with this?
Absolutely, I think it's amazing what you can achieve, and the team, we've got an incredibly strong team here, very committed, really an opportunity to shine for many of them to show what was possible. And just the questions I've had as head teacher is, how can I help, what else can I do? And even going to the parents, they've been incredibly supportive, lots of lovely messages, very few, occasional little meltdown about missing a home learning booklet, but nothing much. I think they've really understood and stepped back that these are challenging times, and they've welcomed all the communication. That's been really important. So communicating to all our stakeholders, making sure our staff are really clear, the pupils are really clear of what we're doing, and the parents as well. And I think they've helped that regular communication by numerous letters that I've sent to parents, trying not to overdo it, but also to make sure they're really clear. That's been important. So the whole team, the whole community, the whole Stewards family have really pulled together. So I am proud, not particularly on a personal level, because my job is just bringing it all together, but for the team that we have, very proud of the work that's gone on. And even to the staff that are at home, that's been a challenge for them too. But we have taken the opportunity, in usual steward style, to rewrite our schemes of learning, to add value to September. So where we did have the opportunity of staff at home, they have been, well utilised too. So everyone has been working incredibly hard to make the very best for our young people. So I am proud, yes, absolutely.